Hello everybody, Tyron the God 3 here, and welcome to Dragon Ball Z Movie Review 3. And tonight, or today, or whatever time you're watching this, I am doing the review of Dragon Ball Z Movie 3, The Tree of Might. This movie... There's things I like and dislike about this movie. And might as well get into the timeline, because this is one of the most controversy Dragon Ball Z movies ever when it comes to timeline. World's Strongest was one of the most confusing movies, but this is the most confusing movie in terms of timeline wise. This and I think Fusion Reborn is another confusing timeline movie. But this movie, and take note of this because this timeline actually gets referenced again in another Dragon Ball Z movie, because this timeline is actually used in multiple movies. This timeline takes place in this movie takes place in a timeline in which Goku defeats Frieza. However, instead of defeating Frieza via turning Super Saiyan and beating his ass that way, Goku uses the Spirit Bomb and that kills Frieza. This is because Goku is there, as well as Piccolo, Gohan, and Krillin, which were all there during the Namekian fight. However, also Tien, Yamcha, Krillin, and Chaozu are there too. And that's and that pretty much proves that it was after Frieza. It couldn't have been during the Saiyan Saga, because during the Saiyan Saga, Goku didn't know the Kaioken times 20 or the Spirit Bomb, which were two attacks he used in the movie. So that's basically the timeline in which that takes place. Also, if you look on the back of Goku's gi or shirt or whatever you want to call it, the symbol is basically Goku's home symbol, which is the symbol he started wearing after the Frieza saga. So yeah, that basically tells you that this timeline takes place in a timeline in which Goku beats Frieza, but instead of using the Super Saiyan and beating Frieza, he uses the Spirit Bomb technique, and the Spirit Bomb technique is strong enough to beat Frieza, which is why Vegeta's not in this movie either, because Vegeta got killed by Frieza, and the whole fiasco with the Eternal Dragon bringing everybody back to life never happened, so Vegeta never got brought back. He's still dead. So that can answer some of you all's questions on where did this movie take place exactly, because I know this movie is the most confusing movie to place into the Dragon Ball Z timeline. It takes place in a timeline in which Goku beats Frieza via the Spirit Bomb and not turning Super Saiyan. Another hint at this timeline existing is oddly in the video game Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. I say this because when you beat Frieza in Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 in Goku's storyline by beating him the first time, which is the time in which Goku uses the Spirit Bomb, the game actually gives you an option and splits into two routes. The first route being the route where you fight Cooler and then Metal Cooler later on, and the second route is where you fight Frieza but Goku's at Super Saiyan, which proves that the Spirit Bomb was enough to kill Frieza in that timeline, and it was it was Goku's choice in order to move on, and things were settled that way. That's how word got around that Goku beat Frieza in the first place. So, with that said, this is when the movie takes place. The movie starts off with our Z Warriors, they're camping. Well, basically, Bulma, Krillin, Oolong, and Gohan are camping. And when they're camping, they're chilling, and Gohan comically states that there's a bunch of shit in his book bag, or at least Oolong comments on it first, and Gohan says all the shit that's in his book bag. He's got like homework and more safety stuff, and overprotective mom Chi-Chi packed all of Gohan's things. So anyway, later on, after they get something to eat and they go to sleep later on, the Turles and his gang watch from above, and their little machine comes down and crashes into Earth so it can survey the planet and see if it's a perfect spot for their plan to be unleashed. While it's when the little Hubble, or whatever you want to call it, crashes into Earth, it causes a fire, and that fire breaks out in the entire forest. So the forest is on fire, and when the forest is on fire, the animals are struggling to evacuate the forest. And Gohan and the others take out the fire using the force from their energy blast. Not the energy blast themselves, but just the force. So the resulting wind can knock the fire out. Icarus, or they don't call it that just yet, a dragon, gets caught under the branch of a tree, and Gohan and Krillin help get him off the dragon. And the dragon thanks Gohan for saving its life. However, they save the animals and knock the fire out. Unfortunately, the forest has been destroyed and these animals have no place to live. So they decide to go ahead and bring the forest back to life via the Dragon Balls. So this is literally the fastest I think I've seen the Dragon Balls be gathered, because when they decide to gather the Dragon Balls, the opening starts up. And when the opening's finished, they got all the Dragon Balls gathered together. Yeah. So they summon the dragon, and Icarus, I'm just going to call, because it's not really spoilers at this point. That's what Gohan ends up naming the dragon. It's a small thing that happens. Anyway, Icarus sees the Shenron and tries to attack it. Yeah, this is the first time I've ever seen anyone try to attack Shenron since King Piccolo. However, unlike King Piccolo, Icarus almost got its ass whooped. Shenron, however, almost attacked Icarus, but Gohan was able to stop Icarus from doing something stupid. Anyway, they make their wish and bring the forest back to life, and then that's pretty much it. The forest returns to its lush green self, and everything's pretty much done. So after that little situation, all of the animals are back, but the planet gets a nice exploration of how lush and green and fertile the soil is and the life is via the Hubble that the Turles and his crew launched earlier before. So now they know that the planet is rich in soil and is perfect for planting their tree. So they land on the planet later on. Meanwhile, when they break the earth in order to have a wide open space for the tree to grow, the resulting open breaks out in an earthquake, and this earthquake has an explosion behind it. Meanwhile, while that's happening, Yamcha is driving floating his little car, cruiser, or whatever he calls it, and he's going to show it off to Bulma in hopes to win her back. However, this falls apart because the earthquake explosion knocks Yamcha's car in for a loop and completely obliterates it. After that, I assume the camping trip with the others was done because Gohan returns back home. However, the dragon follows him back home and Gohan winds up befriending the dragon, calling it Icarus. It scares the shit out of Chi-Chi, and Chi-Chi makes Gohan get rid of Icarus because fuck fun, I guess. That's how Chi-Chi sees it. She's being overprotective. And Goku, and this is a scene I actually like of Goku, because Goku hasn't shown many like real father-like scenes except for saving Gohan in a lot of movies or episodes, but Goku's never really shown like just regular father things since this movie, for real, because Goku makes like a little hiding spot for Icarus to chill in so that Gohan and Icarus can hang out there every day. It is a nice little gesture in Goku's half. So Gohan and Icarus hang out a lot and have their fun time or whatever. But then later on, Yamcha makes it to Chi-Chi and Goku's house and explains what went down with his car. And they all have a nice laugh and chill and hang out together. But then Icarus senses that something's going on. Piccolo actually sensed this around the time that Yamcha's car got crashed, because Yamcha could sense it too. It's just he couldn't react fast enough. Icarus starts to bang on the window while Gohan's talking with his friends and family, but then Gohan tries to push Icarus away and tell him to leave because he doesn't want to be bothered with Icarus right now, or else he'll get in trouble by Chi-Chi. While this is happening, King Kai basically gets the note on what's going on, and Turles and his gang have successfully planted the Tree of Might. The tree grows and causes the vines to stretch and cause a lot of collateral damage to several different parts of the world, while simultaneously sucking the life out of the planet. King Kai immediately informs Goku of what's going on, and the others learn what's going on via Goku. So they all decide to go in and try to stop the Tree of Might. And it was actually noted in this movie that the Tree of Might was a tree used in order to restore the energy of the Eternal Dragon. Meaning that at some point this fruit, which is supposed to power up Shenron, was somehow gained by Turles' crew. But then again, you learn later that Turles and the others are more or less pirates, space pirates. So they found a way to obtain this fruit, probably via trade. And they show to only have one of it, so it means it's pretty much particularly rare, so I believe it. Regardless, Goku, Yamcha, Tien, Chaozu, and Krillin all go off in order to destroy the Tree of Might. While they do this, they try to destroy it at first, and they're unsuccessful. Gohan tries to go too, but, Chi-Chi tells him no. Regardless, the heroes, the Z Warriors, try to destroy the tree, and it's of no avail. Nothing happens. And Yamcha points out that they can't keep trying to blast it, or else they'll destroy everything around the tree. Good move on Yamcha's hand, I guess. But later on, Turles' bogies, or henchmen, or whatever, tell them that it's no point in trying to destroy the Tree of Might because it's too powerful, or whatever. And it's basically, Turles wants to fight Goku himself because, he's a Saiyan, he's a Saiyan. It's a whole Saiyan versus Saiyan thing. So Turles' bogies end up attacking Goku's friends, so it's Z Warriors versus Turles' henchmen. And they end up fighting, and for the most part, they were doing well for a time, but then they end up getting their asses whooped, all of them. So, Turles' henchmen are pretty much stronger than Goku's friends at this point. Goku ends up ends up fighting off against the henchmen as well, and he proves to be doing a better job. Gohan winds up in the fray as well by sneaking out, and he's in there with, I think Icarus follows shortly after. Anyway, Gohan manages to fight off one of the henchmen, and he's doing a pretty good job. And Turles discovers Gohan and realizes that, Gohan's a Saiyan. He must be Kakarot's son. I can use him in order to benefit me, much like how Raditz tried to do it. So when that happens, he somehow gets his hands on Gohan because Gohan tries to fight him off, but that doesn't work. And then Piccolo comes in and tries to get Gohan back, and Turles tricks Piccolo by throwing Gohan towards him, but then sneak attacks and hits Piccolo from behind. Then he obtains Gohan. Once he takes Gohan from Piccolo, he presses on Gohan's back in a certain way, and the pressure makes Gohan's tail grow back. Yeah, it's weird. But then again, the Saiyan children are known to grow their tails back a lot more frequently than adults. Because I think once you're an adult and your tail comes off, it doesn't come back. Anyway, Gohan has a tail. And now that he has his tail, Turles shows that he has the same ability as Vegeta and is able to make an artificial moon that gives off Blutz waves that are enough to make Gohan transform into his Ozaru form. When he launches the blast, Turles shields himself from looking at it because he doesn't want to go berserk and lose control of himself, and makes Gohan look at the artificial moon so that he can transform into the Great Ape, so that the Great Ape can pretty much destroy everything around. When Goku gets done fighting and the others are pretty much done for, the Great Ape ends up attacking Goku, and Goku doesn't fight him, but Goku tries to get the Great Ape to come to his senses. He's trying to get Gohan basically to go back to normal, but it's of no avail. And then Piccolo comes back and he's like, we gotta try to cut off Gohan's tail, but Piccolo ends up getting his ass hit. Now, this is where things get weird. Weird in the sense that Turles is assisting in the fight too, I think. And they end up falling inside of a cavern. Now, what ends up happening in this fight is that Goku tries to calm Gohan down and it's not working. Then Icarus flies in out of nowhere and tries to get Gohan to calm down, and it starts working. I don't have a problem with this considering the fact that Gohan's friends with Icarus, but I do have a problem with the fact that Piccolo and Goku both couldn't get Gohan to come to his senses, and Gohan's known both of them for years, basically as long as he's been alive, yet a dragon that he met a couple of days ago is enough to calm Gohan down. Yeah, what the sense make? Regardless, Turles is baffled as to how... and it's funny, in the Funimation dub, he says that, how can a child be calmed down so easily by a purple dinosaur, as if to hint at Barney or something, because this thing is clearly a dragon and not a dinosaur. Maybe Funimation was planning that, because I know he doesn't say it in the Ocean dub, but it's funny that he said it. Regardless, while Gohan's distracted by the Icarus, Turles decides, you know what, fuck this, I want Gohan to be angry again, blast at Icarus, and he knocks Icarus in for a loop. But I like the scene before that. He baffles of how Gohan can be tamed and be weakened by being so kind, and Goku's like, it's because my son was raised to know the difference between right and wrong, unlike you. And Turles says one of the coolest things a villain could say for this time. Turles says, oh, I know the difference between right and wrong, I just don't care. It's funny to me, because it's like Turles does have that I don't give a fuck mentality about him, and I do like it. Other than that, Turles is more or less like Raditz, if you ask me. Your generic low-class Saiyan that wants to cause terror to the earth. Regardless, when this happens, Gohan gets enraged, but instead of getting enraged and breaking everything, he knows that Turles is the one that did it. So he ends up trying to fight off Turles. But then Turles ends up saying, okay, F this whole little have Gohan destroy everything plan, I'm just going to go ahead and kill Gohan. And then Goku was able to, while they were fighting, Goku was able to use that moment of Gohan being distracted to use I want to say a Kai disc, because it's not Destructo disc. There's clear differences. Goku uses his Ki disc in order to cut Gohan's tail off. When he uses his Ki disc in order to cut Gohan's tail off, Gohan resorts back to normal, and Goku decides he's going to go ahead and finish Turles. When he goes off to fight Turles' henchmen come back, and they're a little weakened, but not weakened enough. It shows that Goku's friends got their asses whooped. So then Turles' henchmen just go in and say, alright, Lord Turles, we'll beat Goku for you. And they end up attacking Goku. And while that's happening, Piccolo attacks Turles because Piccolo came back. And while they're fighting, Turles beats Piccolo pretty much with little to no effort. And Goku beats the henchman easily. So with that said, it's a standoff between Goku versus Turles, and I think their powers are pretty much even at this point. Yeah. And they pretty much fight each other. And when they fight each other, like I said, it's even. Actually, Goku shows to have the advantage, slightly, regardless of all the shit that Turles talked about on Goku. But, however, things change when the Tree of Might finally has ripe fruit. Turles is able to pick one of the fruits, take a bite out of it, and holy shit, he freaking gets buffed beyond belief. Because the fruit is absorbing all the energy from Earth, and Turles ate it, so now he's pumped up with energy. And he beats the shit out of Goku. And not even the Kaioken times 20 is enough to bring him down. So, with that said, Goku ends up getting his ass handed to him. So, the only option for him to do now is to resort to the Spirit Bomb. However, Goku needs time in order to charge the Spirit Bomb. So, Piccolo, Krillin, Yamcha, Tien, and Chaozu all fight off against Turles in order for Goku to buy Goku some time for the Spirit Bomb. They fight off against Turles, and Turles beats them effortlessly, and Goku finally has enough energy for the Spirit Bomb. When Goku launches the Spirit Bomb, Turles sees the Spirit Bomb being launched, and he launches his own attack. And logically, you would think, okay, the Z-Warriors have bought Goku enough time to make the Spirit Bomb. Now he has the Spirit Bomb. He's going to use it. It's going to beam struggle against Turles' attack, but the Spirit Bomb's going to come out on top, right? Wrong. Yeah, this is the one movie in which the Spirit Bomb actually loses. Yep. Turles is too powerful and the Spirit Bomb gets overpowered and Goku gets blasted. Yeah, didn't expect that one. So, yeah, Goku gets his ass whooped. Think this is the end of the movie, is it? Pretty much it would be. I think Piccolo and the others come back and fight Turles again, but end up getting beat. At this point, they all plead to Goku that he has to get up and try to get the fruit, because what he sees is another fruit grown from the Tree of Might. And Goku stops and thinks to himself, okay, if I go ahead and eat this fruit, then I'll be able to gain as much power as Turles did. Which is weird, because Turles ends up eating another fruit, which you would think would make him far stronger than Goku at this point. But regardless, the movie's final standoff is Goku against Turles, and they're in the middle of the tree this time, rather than the side. And they're in the middle, and Goku has made a new spirit bomb that also has his power and the tree and the fruit's power from the Tree of Might in it. So this spirit bomb is twice as strong as the other one. Turles ends up launching a blast, and Goku launches Spirit Bomb, and this time Spirit Bomb comes out on top, hits Turles, blasts him straight through the tree, thus destroying the tree and Turles at the exact same time, completely wiping out everything, and all is over. And pretty much everything ends. With that said, King Kai explains what goes on, as if we didn't see it already. The Tree of Might gets destroyed, which means all of the energy that it sucked goes back to the original sources in which it absorbed energy from. And then everything goes back together in pieces there. Afterwards, like some days after, they go back camping again. Only Goku's there with them. They go back camping again, and Icarus is known to be part of the group. Now, here's an issue that some people may have. What? Icarus is in both timelines. Both the main timeline and the other timeline. Icarus is met Gohan in the other timeline, but in the before the Garlic Jr. saga happened. In this timeline, in the alternate timeline, which Goku beat Frieza via the Spirit Bomb, this is the movie in which Icarus gets introduced. And Icarus is introduced later in this timeline as well. So Icarus is more or less shown to be a filler creature, because in most canon DBZ episodes and sagas, Icarus isn't shown. But in like movies and in filler episodes, Icarus is clearly there. So there's Icarus's whole tale. With that said, Icarus shows that it likes Gohan, but not a lot of other people, and they all laugh about it and have peaceful times, and all's well that ends well. Now, about this movie. There's some things I like and don't like about this movie in particular that hit me on edge. For one, I like Turles' demeanor, although my issue with Turles' personality is that it already exists. Like, we have Raditz. And it's odd because it would fit. If Raditz and Turles' roles were reversed, I think it would fit. Like, if Raditz was the villain in this movie, and Turles was the one that was Goku's brother, it would make a lot more sense. Considering the fact that Turles looks just like Goku, it makes even more sense. So I find it hard to believe that Goku's brother looks nothing like him or Bardock. That's my issue during the time that this movie came out. Around the time that I saw Raditz. Because I'm like, okay, Raditz reveals that he's Goku's brother literally on the second episode of Dragon Ball Z, yet Turles exists, and he looks more like Goku than Raditz does. So you would think they'd be brothers. And another issue I have is that they don't really reveal much about Turles. We don't really know much about Turles. We just know that Turles views Goku as a failure Saiyan. Which, like I said, Turles' personality is Raditz. Like, the two act way too similar. Which is more or less why I agree that Turles would be better off being Goku's brother. Now, the hairstyle thing, that's one of the major reasons why Turles looks like Goku. But if you look in a lot of flashbacks that involve the Saiyans, a lot of that hairstyle is like it would be like what an afro is. Like, plenty of people have afros, but they're not related because they have afros. They just have them because it's a similar fashion. Same with Turles, I guess. But in terms of just plain looks, Turles looks more like Goku's brother than Raditz does. But regardless, whatever. One of the things I do like about this movie is the fact that this is one of the only movies in which all of the Z Warriors actually work together, with the exception of Vegeta and Teenage Trunks. But yeah, this is one of the few movies. I think this is the only movie in which all of the Z Warriors fight together. If like, well, depending on your preference of what you mean by Z Warriors, not just like Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, Piccolo, and Trunks, because that in turn is another version of the Z Warriors. But I mean like Saiyans, humans, and Namekian. Like this is the first time we see everybody together, with the like I said, the exception of Vegeta because he got killed on planet Namek. So yeah. This is, I do like to see all of Goku's friends and family working together for this movie rather than just a couple of the Warriors and Goku in this movie. It definitely made for a more entertaining movie to me. I kind of wish that the Z Warriors stood a better chance against Turles' bogeys, but I'm not so mad at the fact that they lost because they did fight off against Turles himself. The theming of this movie, I would have to say, would be, I've always liked to imagine the theming of this movie is what would happen if Goku had been evil. Because Turles brings it up a lot, like Goku failed his mission to conquer planet Earth. He brings that up a lot. So it kind of, and with him looking like Goku, it kind of brings off the theme of, what if Goku was evil? That's the imagery I get when I see this movie. Is like, what would Goku have done if he were evil? Would he have run his own intergalactic pirate-like crew or whatever? But that's what it brings. That's the imagery I see when I see this movie. A lot of the villains are one-dimensional, though, unfortunately, and we don't get much backstory about them like we did in Dead Zone and World's Strongest. I would recommend this movie, though, if you want to see all of the Z Warriors in just fight. Like if you've never seen Dragon Ball Z before and you want to know the Dragon Ball Z cast to its fullest, then you watch this movie, because you can basically see everybody with the exception of Vegeta and Trunks. Other than that, I like Saiyan. This movie was overall Saiyan motifed as well, because Gohan turning into Great Ape. They brought up the artificial moon like Vegeta was able to make. Turles was a Saiyan, obviously, and he's the main villain. So yeah, it was good to see a Saiyan actually become a main villain in a movie for the first time. This isn't the last time though. Good, Broly. But regardless, yeah, it's definitely an enjoyable movie. Not one of my favorites though. It's good, but it has some of its flaws. It is cool to see that the Spirit Bomb failed for once in a movie. Like, I know it's bad for me to say it like that, but it's very uncommon for the Spirit Bomb to fail in a movie. Like, in the series, it failed to kill Vegeta and Frieza, but in the movie, it failed to kill Turles at the first time. The second time, it succeeded. So, yeah. With that said, I would recommend World's Strongest or Dead Zone before Tree of Might, but I definitely will say, if you want to know the cast of Dragon Ball Z and the whole show, then watch this movie. And if you would like to get a premise of the overall layout of how Dragon Ball Z movies will be for the rest of the series, watch this movie. But it's good. I will say it's a good movie. It's enjoyable. I had a good time watching it. It's not one of the movies I go back to a lot. Like, I go back to Dead Zone and World's Strongest way more times than I've went to Tree of Might. So with that said, hope you all enjoyed this review. I will be reviewing the fourth movie, which is Dragon Ball Z Lord Slug. That is another good one. That's one of my top favorites. So I'll see you all then. I hope you enjoyed this review. Have a good night or day, or if applicable. Tyrone the God 3, out everybody.